I love to sleep with my windows open. And the fact is, I sleep with my windows open throughout the majority of the year. Whether it be summer or winter, 365 days a year, I like fresh air. My wife thinks I'm a fresh air addict, but even when it's cold, I'll drive with the window down on the car. Unfortunately, one of the unintended consequences of this was the other day, I woke up to the strong odor of a skunk in my room. And I mean, it was overpowering. I knew that that skunk had to be right outside my bedroom in order for it to smell that strong. What is it about a skunk that makes it smell so bad? Well, scientists have determined that the odor producing chemicals in a skunk are the very same chemicals that cause meat to smell putrid or rotting like a dead body. It's also what makes feces smell. I mean, it's one of the strongest, most pungent smells that we could come across, which is essentially the smell of death. Well, as I was pondering this more and more, I was thinking about smell and how important smell is. And in fact, humans have pretty strong sense of smell. Granted, there's a lot of animals like dogs and bears that smell a lot better than we do. But still, when human beings have their sense of smell damaged, we don't realize how important it really is. In fact, if you lose your eyesight, well, most people, that's devastating to be blind. But without the sense of smell, food doesn't taste as good. You're not aware of noxious odors that can be dangerous. There's lots of things. In fact, depression has been related to a loss of smell, and it can even affect our memory. So smell is important. But as I was thinking about smell, I began to ponder the spiritual aspects of smell. I mean, just from a standpoint of how God relates to smell. And in fact, there are many places in the Word of God where He makes clear distinctions between those things that smell good to Him and those things that smell bad. In fact, when it says that we do the righteous things and our prayers, they come before God as a sweet-smelling offering. So here's a few things I wrote down just to consider. How do we smell to God? And what God does is He equates bad smell with that which is wicked and wrong. And remember, there were evil smelling spirits, foul spirits. That's a very specific reference to smell. In fact, the foul meant that they stunk. In Jacob, when his sons did very sinful actions, it says that he had become odious, meaning stinky in the nose of the Canaanites. So again, the evil is equated with a bad smell. The Israelites disobeyed God and they kept manna overnight, and then the manna rotted and smelled. So again, sinful actions resulting in bad smell. The consequence of foolishness is harm to oneself, and that's equated as a stink in Psalm 38:5. And a little sin can spoil a lot of good, meaning spoil in the sense of cause it to rot, to stink. That's in Ecclesiastes 10:1. And we know that in Romans, God equates sin, the wages of sin is death, and death always stinks. But doing good also produces a very sweet, fragrant odor to God. When I think of a sweet odor, I think of the billions of dollars that the world spends on colognes and perfumes and things to smell good. Well, how much are we spending spiritually to make ourselves smell good to God? God says that making a proper sacrifice results in a sweet smell to Him. He calls that out in Genesis 8:21 and in Exodus 29:18. And He says that prayer to Him is as a sweet fragrance, as I've already mentioned. There's references throughout the Word. Psalms, Revelation have references to that. And then giving and helping also causes a fragrant aroma to God, as Philippians 4:18 says. And then God uses those who accept the gospel to spread the sweet aroma of Christ, which is what it says in 2 Corinthians 2:14. Wisdom from a friend is like perfume, and it produces joy. And we are to walk in love, just as Christ did when he gave himself to God for us as a sweet, fragrant offering, which is what Ephesians 5:2 says. So what's the takeaway lesson of this? Well, again, we spend billions of dollars on deodorants and colognes and bathing and doing things to make ourselves smell good. But how do we smell to God? And if we do the right thing, then we smell good. If we do the wrong thing, we're a stench. So let's do the right thing, because it's up to us. How do we want to smell to God? Do you want to smell like a skunk or a rose?